This is insane. The Penguins are scorching hot, trying to keep up with Philip Tomasino. Sidney Crosby made history again yesterday against the New Jersey Devils, and when they came to town, so did Cody Glass, making his return to Pittsburgh since the trade deadline deal. Tristan Jarry is the hottest goalie in the National Hockey League, and the Penguins might be the hottest team in the National Hockey League. Nobody saw this coming, and nobody saw the trade deadline acquisitions that Kyle Dubas made under the radar. Timmins and Duar came out of nowhere, just like Tristan Jarry's resurgence and this Pittsburgh Penguins winning streak, and we're going to talk all about it here in just a moment. But first, subscribe to the channel, Penguins Digest. We're trying to get to 1,400 subscribers. We're just a couple away, and then obviously just building up from there. This is a community of Pittsburgh Penguins fans, a YouTube channel committed to giving you the latest Pittsburgh Penguins news, rumors, analysis, and updates. Please hit that sub button and let's get this video underway, as the Penguins are on a 4-game winning streak and they are clinging to all hope that they might not be eliminated from the postseason. They are hanging by a thread, and we're not going to spend too much time talking about their playoff chances because, quite honestly, they are still very low, very slim. But this winning streak has done a great deal at building a little bit of confidence and a little bit of momentum, and especially looking forward into next season, a lot of positives for this Pittsburgh Penguins team right now. And I think it's best to hear from the players instead of hearing from me, because the players know best. They have a great idea what's going on out there and what's changed in order for this team to start their winning ways. And let's hear from Ryan Graves first and what he had to say about creating a winning atmosphere. You want to create a winning atmosphere. You're not going to win the Stanley Cup every year, but you're building toward that. We're creating a culture. There's a culture that's already here, but you're trying to continue it. And you want to continue it through times of the downs, of the ebbs and flows. It's part of your obligation because we have high standards in Pittsburgh. And Noel Acciari said, we're having fun. That's what's changed. We're just kind of like, this is our group after the trade deadline. We were waiting to see what was happening, and you still got to play. We found a way to get 4 in a row, and we're going to try to keep this going. He later added, right now, we're just focusing on the next game and on a good note, but if we keep this going, who knows what's going to happen? And Mike Sullivan echoed a similar sentiment. He said, everybody is well aware of where we're at. Anything can happen. You don't know where it goes with this game. We're just trying to keep our heads down and keep our eye on the game right in front of us. We're going to try to put our best game on the ice and just see what happens, because this Penguins team still does have slim playoff hopes, and they're trying to keep those alive as long as they possibly can. We know we're building for the future. We know our sights are not set on this season, but if the Penguins can turn this season around and push for the playoffs, we're not opposed to that either, because this draft class is not that deep. It's not that loaded. So if the Penguins are going to have a top 5 pick, which they probably aren't, it's worth trying to make an effort towards the postseason, and then we're going to probably have 2 first-round picks that the New York Rangers also slide into the playoffs, leaving their first-round pick for us for this season instead of having to take their first-round pick for next year. But the moral of the story is that the Penguins are outscoring their opponents 18-9 in the last 4 outings. They are crawling their way out of the bottom of the league. Playoff odds are still well under 100% according to MoneyPuck.com, but they aren't dead yet. And never say die with this team. They've been doing this every season. Late in the year, they make this push and they almost get in. And I'm seeing a similar story unfold this season in 2025. An unexpected common denominator in the Penguins winning streak is the return of struggling goalie Tristan Jarry. After being recalled from a stint in the American Hockey League, Jarry has made 120 saves during his 4-game win streak with a .930 save percentage. So let's shout out Tristan Jarry, because this guy is unbelievable right now, and he has been a real reason why the Penguins were able to turn this around. He has been the superstar on this team. He has been playing out of his mind. His 4 best games of the entire season have been strung together, and it's resulted in a 4-game winning streak for the Pittsburgh Penguins. What more could you ask from Tristan Jarry? I mean, the dude has been standing on his head. He's 4-0 in 4 starts since returning from Wilkes-Barre Scranton. It is just an unbelievable story, a comeback story for Tristan Jarry and what he's been able to do, not just proving that he still can play and proving that he still can be a #1 goalie goalie in this league, but he's trying to make a case that he should still be the Penguins' #1 goalie amidst a lot of goalie prospects that are very promising in this organization right now. And the Penguins are still looking to trade Tristan Jarry this summer by all accounts. So he is helping this team by playing well, because other teams are looking at this and saying, oh, Tristan Jarry still has some gas left in the tank. He could still be a really solid goaltender at the highest level. And that's what's really helping the Penguins this summer and building for the future, is Tristan Jarry actually giving himself a little bit of trade value for Kyle Dubas to work with. And if you look at what he's done, .930 save percentage, which we already said, 2.24 goals against average in his 4 starts, which is far better than what he did prior to that in 22 games, .886 save percentage, 331 goals against average. Almost every game he was allowing at least 3 goals. And it says there at the bottom, he's either establishing himself as the #1 again or making himself more movable this summer if the Penguins want their young goaltenders to make the jump to the National Hockey League. And that's what I fully expect to happen. I don't think Tristan Jarry is playing for a role on this team anymore. We want him to think that because we want him to continue to play good and enhance his trade value as much as possible. But in reality, Tristan Jarry is not the goalie of the future. He's 29 years old. We have so many good goalies in the system. I've talked about them in previous videos, especially Sergei Murashov. So the Penguins do not need Tristan Jarry. Let's just appreciate how great Tristan Jarry has been and ride the hot hand right now. Continue to try to build up some wins, build up his confidence, and show other teams that he can be an asset in the cage. And then Kyle Dubas can move him this summer, and we can look towards the future with all of these bright young goaltenders in our system. The next thing I want to talk about today is the Connors. Connor Dewar and Connor Timmins, trade deadline acquisitions by Kyle Dubas from the Toronto Maple Leafs that have made an immediate impact on the Pittsburgh Penguins and been a huge reason why this team has been so successful. The Connors have been on fire since joining the Penguins. Both Timmins and Dewar have been spectacular. If you look at the advanced metrics, it's even more impressive what Timmins and Dewar have brought to this Pittsburgh Penguins team. And it's this new blood. It's almost like we went out and bought at the trade deadline, even though we were sellers, because we're bringing in these players that are playing for a contract and playing to be on this team next season, playing for their future as the Pittsburgh Penguin. And they're showing out. They're actually proving that they can be assets and effective players for the Pittsburgh Penguins moving forward. And that's something that we love to see, because we're continuing to look forward and see how we're going to fill out this roster. And if Dewar and Timmins are part of that, that's great. That means Kyle Dubas didn't trade for nothing. It means he traded for guys that might actually be part of our future. The Penguins have done almost everything right over these last 4 games. They haven't been easy opponents by any stretch of the imagination. You're talking about beating teams like the Minnesota Wild, Vegas Golden Knights, St. Louis Blues, and New Jersey Devils, all teams in playoff position or close contention. And they've outscored these opponents 18-9. So it's not just winning, it's how they are winning. And these new pieces chipping in. Connor Dewar, 3 goals in his last 2 games, including the Penguins' first goal in this one, and then an empty netter that made it 6-3. What's even crazier is he went goalless in 31 games with Toronto prior to the trade. Connor Timmins even scored a goal on Thursday against the St. Louis Blues and added 2 more assists in this game. And he has a +7 rating in 2 games. That's absurd. Philip Tomasino, who had an assist through 11 games with Nashville prior to his trade to Pittsburgh, now has 10 goals, 9 assists, 19 points in 40 games with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And talking about Timmins and Dewar, specifically Timmins, and how he has a +7 rating in his time with Pittsburgh in just a couple of games, it reminds me that the defense has just been so much better. And Tristan Jarry's even commented on how well the defense has played in front of him, but the defense also paid a good ode to him as well. And we're talking about Ryan Graves, a player that has struggled in his entire Pittsburgh Penguins tenure, just had a revenge game against his old team, the New Jersey Devils, and he spoke about Tristan Jarry. He said, I think it can't go unnoticed that Jars is playing really well. A hot goalie can really turn a team around. We still give up 3 tonight, but it changes the way you feel there. It gives you more confidence. So it's good for him. He's made some really timely saves, and it's been good to see him do that. So I love that from Ryan Graves. I love the confidence, the team building each other up, being positive, and just saying, hey, Tristan Jarry, we got to give him a little bit of credit. Our defense has been great. Tristan Jarry giving credit to the defense, and then Ryan Graves and the rest of the defense giving credit to Tristan Jarry. And when a guy has a +7 rating in 2 games, you know that's a good sign. And then you talk about Connor Dewar, We talked about the goals that he scored already since coming to Pittsburgh. He said, it's been great to come in and contribute right away. It makes you feel a lot more comfortable, and it's nice to help out and get some wins here. And you talk about winning, you talk about winners, and I'll go back to the same graphic talking about, Duar and Timmins. Philip Tomasino has been a guy that stood out to me for a long time on this Penguins team. He has been a different player since he came over from Nashville, and he's gotten even more comfortable. I know Tommy Novak's injured right now, but that's his buddy, and when Novak and Tomasino were out there together, I loved seeing that. So hopefully Novak heals up and gets back out there. But oh my, Philip Tomasino and Tommy Novak are definitely part of the future here in Pittsburgh. And Philip Tomasino, his career trajectory has been ridiculous. It has been straight up in the air for Philip Tomasino since he got to Pittsburgh. This guy is on another level right now, and he continues to get better. That's the crazy part about it. He was already good, but it's getting better and better and better, and just taking more steps up, breaking through that ceiling that we thought he had, and creating a new ceiling for himself, and creating new levels to his game. And even Tomasino himself has spoken about how good he's been feeling lately and how much better he has felt. He said, I feel great. I think recently, especially, I feel like over the last 2 weeks, I feel like my game has kind of gone to the next stage personally. So Tomer is starting to see what we're seeing already and starting to see how good he really is and what kind of player he can be for the Pittsburgh Penguins, because he truly can be one of the stars on this team and a huge piece for this roster moving forward. He has been almost irreplaceable since Kyle Dubas acquired him, and he's continuing to level up his game. Since American Thanksgiving, here are the comparable forwards to Philip Tomasino by goals, primary assists, and shot attempts per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. Tom Wilson and Nico Hischier are on that list with Philip Tomasino. That's the type of player that he has been for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He has taken that many steps forward that he is basically a Tom Wilson and Nico Hischier, basically a top 6 forward, an effective top 6 forward. You see Shevkovsky on there as well. This is a dude that has always been turning heads, but those heads are turning a lot more frequently nowadays because he is continuing to get better and better. Philip Tomasino is going to be a huge piece for the Pittsburgh Penguins moving forward. He has already proven that he deserves to be here. I expect him to get a raise after this season as far as contract is concerned and to stay with this team long term, because he is a perfect fit. He is fit like a glove since day one. And just when we thought we were starting to see the best of Philip Tomasino, he levels up his game even further. Talking about a guy that's leveled up his game, we're talking about Cody Glass. Shout out to Cody Glass and what this dude has done since he left the Pittsburgh Penguins. He was traded at the deadline to the Devils. You guys know me. I'm a big Cody Glass fan. I always liked his game. I always liked what he brought to the Pittsburgh Penguins, but I understood that Kyle Dubas had to get rid of him, and because we brought in Tommy Novak to essentially take Cody Glass's job, well, Cody Glass didn't take exception to it necessarily, but I will say that he is loving this opportunity that he's getting in New Jersey, because he is putting up better numbers in New Jersey than he ever did with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's averaging a point per game right now for the New Jersey Devils, and Cody Glass, after scoring against the Penguins in that game yesterday, had this to say: it's tough always going into a place that you've played before and created so many good friends. It's always tough, but at the same time, it's a game. So you've got to get your head into it and go out there and play. That's what Glass said about returning to PPG Paints Arena for the first time since the trade to the New Jersey Devils. And if you look at what Cody Glass has done in the time since going to New Jersey, he is absolutely killing it for the Devils. And I'm looking at his fantasy outlook. I know for you fantasy hockey players out there, you know all about RotoWire. This was one of the few places I could actually find his stats all in one place. Cody Glass, a point per game player since he went to the New Jersey Devils. So he's getting a little bit of fantasy consideration for fantasy hockey players and experts out there, because a point per game, man, even they said it's not sustainable there at the end, but he's getting some depth scoring for New Jersey and being the player that they thought they were getting when they made the trade for him. And they gave Pittsburgh some nice assets. I mean, we got draft picks, we got prospects for Cody Glass. So thank you, Cody Glass, for everything you did for the Pittsburgh Penguins, mostly the trade haul you were able to generate. But I'm still a fan of Cody. I'm going to root for him just like I do all our former Penguins that go elsewhere. We want them to do well. Cody Glass is no exception to that. And let's talk about the Penguin, Sidney Crosby, because every single video we got to congratulate Sid. So we might as well congratulate Sid again, because he did something else. It's every single game, it seems, for this guy. 37 years old, continuing to build up accolades, move up the leaderboards on the all-time list in NHL history in every category, and this time he's moving up in a category called points scored for one team. And that's what Sidney Crosby's done for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He is now top 5 in points scored with one team in his career, and that is an accomplishment for Sidney Crosby to move into the top 5 all time, chasing Mario Lemieux, who is 3rd on that list, and then Gordie Howe, of course, Mr. Hockey, is number 1 with what he did for the Detroit Red Wings. But Crosby trying to get to that number, or at least close to that number right now, trying to track down Mario Lemieux as he just surpassed the great one, Wayne Gretzky, for 4th place all time in points for one franchise. And obviously we know Gretzky played for a few different teams. Most of his time spent in Edmonton, but he played for a lot of other teams. Sidney Crosby, we hope, only wears one uniform in his career, just like Mario Lemieux. And that is the ultimate goal for us Penguins fans, Sidney Crosby to move up that leaderboard even further and get all of his points in a Penguins uniform. It's always fun to talk about a team that's doing well, but for us, we're a little bit conflicted because obviously we're looking at the draft lottery odds and seeing, hey, can we get kind of a top pick in the draft for playing bad? Obviously, we don't believe in tanking, though, either on this channel. So the Penguins doing well. We're still feeling good about it. A win's a win. They continue to win. Jarry plays well. It's fun. It's fun, guys. So thanks for watching this episode of Penguins Digest. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll continue to keep you up to date on the latest Pittsburgh Penguins news, rumors, analysis, and updates. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.